Good morning. It is Vicky Midwood and Jennie Bolt here with your weekly dose of What If? And today we have posed this question. What if you fired yourself from judging yourself? Now, Jennie, you came up with that one, and I was just like, this is the most awesome what if ever, especially with everything that is going on with us being in this prolonged lockdown at the moment. So when that came to mind, what was going through your head about where it was going to take you? Because I've got an idea of what I think about it, but share with us what made you come up with that.
Well, what made me come up with it was actually me, because of what I was doing. I suddenly became aware of how much I was beating myself up or judging myself because I hadn't even done that or this. And I was going over stuff that I thought I should have done and hadn't done, and why. And then I was going, but I could have done that. So I was looking at why I hadn't got it done and then beginning to pull it all apart.
Right.
So much judgment and the energy. I could notice my body going shrinking and completely debilitating.
This is the stuff, isn't it, that goes
really
round.
Something that, exactly that, Vicky. And you just do. And so I'm going, okay, what is this? So I'm asking questions as we encourage you to do. So what is this? And actually, it was judgment. I was just judging. And for what reason? And who was the only one that was really being affected was me. I mean, nobody else around you. They're all doing their own thing, whatever that is. And so we're shrinking ourselves, which loses stamina. Mm-hmm. It preoccupies us for being totally present.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And we're not looking for any joy. We've negated. We've gone from joy to judgment. So the two J's, but we've got that way. And so I thought, actually, so what if I fired myself?
Love it.
Misjudgment. So imagine, your misjudgment, whatever judgment you choose to be. What if you just go, fine, okay, gone? Because it's a job. We're all doing, if we look at it, our lives as a job. It's not, of course, it's living. And it should be a joy of living every second, whether it's in business or family.
I think that's what a lot of people are struggling with, isn't it? The joy at the moment of living. I think we've lost kind of connection with that because we're in this whole lockdown situation and none of us know, and nobody knows. We're all in the same situation when it's going to end, for sure. Or how it's going to be when things do change, because we're all in this kind of scenario of, well, if we do what we did before, are we going to end up back in another lockdown? So there's all that kind of stuff going on. And I think particularly for women with children and partners and businesses, there is so much judgment going on. I've seen posts on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook, and anxiety is going through the roof. And as we all know, anxiety is stress. Stress is actually fear. And we are creating that with this judgment that we have on ourselves. And we know as individuals that it's not helpful, right? Logically. And yet we still seem to find ourselves doing it. So where do you think that stems from, Jennie? Why are we so hard on ourselves, particularly as females with kids and partners and businesses?
I think partly it's obviously our background and the wrongness of us. We're looking, the whole of this world creates or supposedly aims for perfection. There is no perfection. Perfect is a judgment in itself.
Yeah. What even is it?
So, what I think's perfect, what if I considered anything perfect, and what Vicky thinks is perfect will be maybe similar, but they certainly will not be the same. They could be miles apart.
Yeah.
So, this aim of that and this whole reality actually imposes that. And even with the lockdown, we're not doing it perfect, but we're all having to create something and we're looking at it I've got to keep going. So we've automatically put ourselves on a rail, or literally, as I see it, as rail tracks of some sort, and we're just going down. This is lockdown. But either side, even if you go on a train and rail tracks, you look out the windows, there is loads of stuff, and often very lovely stuff to look at.
Absolutely.
So what if we looked at that instead of focusing on this factor? I've got to stick on this. It's only going to be. We don't know how long it's going to be.
No, exactly.
If we live in 10-second increments, sorry, we just remind you, if we live in 10-second increments, it doesn't really matter. And there are lots of possibilities, but we're buying in. We hear all this information, as Vicky was saying, from the media. And actually, it's really lovely that people are putting things out there, because that's kind of, what are we doing about this?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. And I think one of the things that has been so important for a lot of us has been, we are on social media more because we're conversing in groups. And I think groups have really grown and expanded as places to chat and feel that you're not on your own, which I think is great if you're part of a group that is very supportive and positive. But there are also so many groups that allow you to get caught up in that spiral of negativity and judgment. And when you're reading what somebody else has been doing with their kids and you're going, oh my God, they've done all of these things and I haven't done any of that, that's when the judgment comes in, because we start this comparison. And I think comparison for me, when I was going through my eating disorders and my periods of self-worth, where body image and how I looked was like the most important thing, I was consistently and constantly comparing how I looked with other people. And that in and of itself is just like, as you said, it makes you do this. And I love the idea that you said that we can fire ourselves, because it just literally means you go, no, you can stop thinking like that, and you can step out of trying to fill that role, because that's kind of what we're doing, isn't it?
Yes, and we don't think of firing ourselves. We tend to think that's always associated with our work in some way. And sometimes we do choose to fire ourselves even from our work. If we're not happy there, we usually create scenarios. We're brilliant creators of magnitude.
Yeah.
You know, we create scenarios so that actually, and then we can blame somebody else that actually didn't like us, or the boss wasn't, whatever that is. But we're doing that in our head. This is about, a lot of this, I think, Vicky, is about self-talk.
Totally. Yeah.
You know, we're kind of, they're, as Vicky's just explained, this person's doing that, she's doing wonderful things, other people aren't, so you're empathizing with them. It's interesting point of view for everything. Exactly. That's not hard. What interesting point of view does is stop you going in, oh my goodness, you poor thing, or so you actually are not using your energy on other things.
Love that. And this is what we can do when it comes to firing, because even that word, firing yourself, for a lot of people can have really negative connotations, can't it? Because we think of firing ourselves as somebody doing it to us. Therefore, we must have done something wrong or made a mistake. So it feels very negative. But when we can shift that over to being a really positive thing, and anybody who's watching who has been fired, I think that in hindsight, you found that actually it was a gift, because it allowed you to find out what truly lit you up and what you really wanted to do, and whether it was still working for a different company in the same job. I'm guaranteeing that anybody who's fired doesn't go into a job that was worse than the one that they had. They usually aspire to something that was better. And so when we can fire ourselves from being judges, it means that we're leaving that space that we've talked about so many times, haven't we, to expand and see what else is available.
Absolutely. And we're not a victim, because we're actually the leader of our own lives there. And what if these things create an awareness, this judgment, whole thing, we fire yourself. Okay, what if I fired myself? What comes up? Well, what other possibilities are there? Okay, what could I do different here? Or not even, or what can I do right in this 10 seconds? What would I really love? Body, what would you love to do at that moment? It might be jumping for joy. You know, it could be just putting your head in a pillow. It really doesn't matter. What it is when that creates, when the drama of this reality, which is judgment is drama, because you're buying into it, and then there's the shame and guilt and all those other things that creep in. Those are just purely distractions. So when you feel those, just go, so what is this? Okay, what can I change here? Because those things, even shame, guilt, all that stuff, once you're aware of it, you choose different. And truth, who does that belong to? Just choose different. That is an awareness. Your body and your mind will actually give you awarenesses. And you can go, what other possibilities are there here?
Love that. Love it.
Opening up, you know, it's like, as I say, looking out the window when you're traveling, anything, doesn't really matter. And even the house, you know, you're outside. Once you take a step outside, the energy's changed.
Totally. Yeah. And it can be just as simple as just,
Yep.
you know, going into a different room even can change the energy of what we feel. And I love the fact that it's the awareness. But if we're stuck in judgment, we can't be aware. But if we did actually fire ourselves from judgment, it allows us to just go, oh, okay. It gives you the space. It gives you the awareness to be able to stop and just ask those questions. Because the questions that you are posing are the very things that will give you that awareness, aren't they? They start to allow you to stop judging and to get to know what you really feel and what you really think, whether that's physical feeling or whether it's emotional feeling. And that brings us back to connection again, doesn't it? Connecting to yourself.
Yeah, and that is what we get so often, particularly as parents. And you, at the moment, we're working from home. There's the house is fuller than usual often, and you're in your head a lot because you're just going, I must do this, 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 and this, and there's no space. And I think that, so then we judge ourselves when it's wrong. So what space can you create? And sometimes it's not about the length of time. It's about recognizing that that's what's required. And you could all have space or not. I mean, you know, and what is that? You know, people getting cross with each other. Truth, is that really then having a go at you? Or is it just where they're at in that 10 seconds?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying you should accept everything, but you can go, do you know, this isn't working for me. If it's something you don't really like, can we talk about this later? I'm really not able to give the time to it now. Or something that just overcomes that moment of buzz off, you know, whatever you want to say, or oh, you would, or whatever it is, I can't please you, or whatever we ever do and say. So watch the self-talk for yourself, the judgment of yourself, and be also aware of the energies that are being projected at you by others.
Love it.
And you can just, you know, just let them go through. Interesting point of view. So be that colander for those words and let them pass through. And what else is possible? And what if this was more fun? And I love the idea of firing. I do think that, okay, what if I fired myself from this? What else would I do? What else can I not even do? What can I create? I think is actually nicer than do, because doing means you've got to think of something immediately. Whereas what fun can I have creating something? What if this was more of an adventure of awareness and possibilities? And this whole episode's are creating, because we are being focused and shrunk down.
Yeah,
we actually are looking further afield and looking. There are possibilities out there for all of us. The world is changing. There's no two ways about that.
Absolutely.
We'd all got into freneticisms and we had to be doing particularly as parents. Haven't you got your child going here? Oh, you're not doing that. And suddenly it's closed down. And we've just got us. And what if that is enough?
Oh, I love
Real
that.
you.
Yeah.
With no judgment and just the joy.
Just the joy. And on that note, I think we should leave it there. Let's leave it on just the joy. Firing ourselves from judgment allows us to be open to find that joy, doesn't it? So, absolutely. Jennie, as always, it's been a delight. I love our what if conversations, and I hope you are enjoying following us too. If you are watching on replay, please do put #replay and leave us a comment, leave us some likes or leave us some love hearts. We would love to connect with you. If you do want to get in touch with either Jennie or myself, Jennie, how are they going to get in touch with you, my darling? Where are you hanging out these days?
Yeah, well, I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook and jenniebolt.com.
Fantastic. And I am the same. I am Vicky Midwood on Facebook, the Addiction and Disordered Eating Eliminator on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And of course, vickymidwood.com is my website. And of course, you can get in touch with us via the comments here on this video. Thanks once again for watching and have a lovely day. Find the joy, fire the judgment.
Bye.